district.
There was talk, and you can tell me if it's still a possibility, of the state taking over the district.
That has actually stopped.
Yeah.
I know when I first came on as superintendent, that
5
was
years
very,
ago?
very real, a very real issue.
Was that 5 years ago?
Yes, and a very big threat. You know, I had a number of state people that were coming into the district. We were quite under scrutiny, I say, lots of audits coming through the district. But again, you know, staff came to the table and started to work together.
Why was that? Let's go back just a little bit. Why was the school district in danger of a state takeover?
There were a few things. I mean, we are still under court order with the RSIP. We had students who were not meeting the standards when you look at the test scores. There was high teacher turnover at the time, which does not lend itself to improvement in our students' test scores and whatnot. So there's a lot of things that factor into why you have a low performing school or school district. I would like to say that at this point we have increased our teacher retention rate. We have definitely, like I just said a few minutes ago, retooled some of our administrative site managers or principals, as we say, and they've been able to look at the numbers, be very honest with themselves and with their teachers, and tackle this problem of low student performance. So our teachers have done a wonderful job staying late, meeting, collaborating, working with parents on, we have Saturday schools where we have students who are parents who have students with IEPs. They're learning how to better support their children. So there's a lot of things that are going on at this point, and I would really like to put a plug in for Ravenswood. There's so many positive things that go on, yet we still only hear about the negative things.
Yes.
And it's really unfortunate because the negative seems to really overshadow a lot of the positive that goes on. And what I would really like to say is that there are so many teachers that are there early, they stay late, they're working hard, they're looking at data, they're meeting with students, they're helping them understand the standards, and it's finally working and showing. It's the growth is there. We can see it now.
You know, one of the things just to follow up with that is, when I used to go to the State Department, it was difficult to even get an audience or even to get anyone
State Department of Education.
or just any legislators to get any attention, being support,
Positive attention.
Positive attention. And after a few years, that began to change, and they began to hear and see the changes that were being made and the progress that was being made. And we began to see folks coming aboard and supporting the work that we were doing. And as I was thinking the other day, just coming to work the other day, I said, sometimes it's very discouraging when your own community, still has that negative feeling
Right.
towards the system, because I feel like this is the family. The family's supposed to support you, and here we have outsiders coming in to help, who are really investing in our children and really believing that the work we're doing is working, and they're coming right alongside us to do that work with us, and giving us funds and providing resources.
Now, Maria, I find what you said very interesting, because you said when you used to go to the State Department of Education,
Right.
it was hard to get attention.
Right.
Wouldn't one think it might
Positive
be?
attention.
Yeah.
Don't you think it might be the opposite? Because if it's a low-performing school district,
Right.
wouldn't you think you would get even more attention and more
Right.
assistance,
You
Right.
would think.
more resources available?
I think, unfortunately, the relationship and the reputation, unfortunately, of Ravenswood had a history, and it was folks just didn't believe that we could turn the
Right.
system around.
Now, why is that? Is it the thing that immediately comes to my mind is that the idea of stereotyping?
Right.
Yes.
I was just about to say,
Yes.
Henrietta, I don't think you have enough time right now to really broach that topic. But I mean, you're talking about a community who has, ever since the closing of Ravenswood High School, has not had positive spotlight shone on it. You know, 93, we're the murder capital per capita of the United States of America. You still hear about problems that go on, say, over the ramp into Palo Alto, and it seems to be, oh, it was some young man or some young woman from East Palo Alto, and we are never able to just rise above, politically speaking or socially speaking, that negative stereotype. And it's really sad because even myself, I work at a charter school and I'm continuing to hear negative comments about my district. And I'm saying, the quote that I use, or the mantra that I stand by, is I wish that people would stop drinking the Kool-Aid. I really wish that people would really talk to some of these parents who are pleased. Talk to some of these families whose kids have been accepted to Menlo and Eastside and Sacred Heart, you know, into private schools because they have excelled and they've done such a great job.
Well, the other thing I'm thinking that would be a negative on the other side is the dropout rate. And one would, you know, one gets the feeling that, or the information that the students from Ravenswood City School District do not do as well when they go on to high school.
And dropout rates are still being defined. You know, what does dropout mean? You know, and I know that when I first came, maybe 5% of our students, 8th graders, went off to private schools. We have now over a third of our 8th grade students who go off to private schools, who go to Eastside, who go to the Catholic schools or go to the private high schools, and the other 2/3 go off to Sequoia High School. We don't know the reasons why some of those students drop out. We know that we do send a number of kids that are advanced and proficient. We send them with that high score over to Sequoia. You know, our children go into a culture that they're not accustomed to.
Correct.
And so there is a huge gap and adjustment for them.
It's a culture shock.
Right. And they're competing with children who, although lives have been all over the world, in some cases, who have been tutored since the time they were born. And we all know about the language, the benefits of coming to school with a language background or vocabulary background of at least 5,000 words, where our children come with maybe 2,000. And we have to make up that gap and then move them forward. So there, you know, to say our children don't do well, our children are good students, they're strong students, they're capable of doing the work, but they may not have the same background, and they need additional support.
Well,